It is great to be here and having this really important discussion about how we work together in addressing the important risks that is coming from these emerging technologies. My journey in the space of responsible AI actually started around 10 years ago as we were working with some of the statistical techniques, deep learning techniques that was just becoming useful enough to build real world things. And this journey has been an interesting one. I've been deeply involved in the at Microsoft's efforts in terms of establishing responsible AI practices in the company. So what I will try to do in these 7 minutes is try to give an industry perspective into the evolution of responsible AI and what I see as the frontier in terms of how we should think about the frontier that's coming up and why that's going to require a lot of collaboration to get that right. Of course, some of the earliest work in the responsible AI space at the industry started with some companies releasing their principles around responsible AI. And these principles touched on issues around fairness, reliability, privacy, security, inclusiveness, transparency, and accountability. We are actually entering the 11th year at Microsoft of working around these principles. These principles were released around 2014. Of course, the big challenge we faced after releasing the principles was, we quickly understood that talking about these principles was the easy part. But how do you actually put these principles into practice when there are many distributed teams that are working on different AI projects became like the really big problem that we had to tackle. This became an organizational, cultural, technological problem all at once. Now, looking at the state of the responsible AI practice at Microsoft, we have around 1,000 people working on aspects of responsible AI in the company at the moment. This covers all the way from product groups that are doing the um, domain-specific implementation of responsible AI, the platform-level implementation of tools and practices, all the way to our legal department that is working on standards and compliance and working with European Union and other partners in the space to be able to think about regulation and compliance. But I wanna really emphasize that getting responsible AI to the practice has been a cultural challenge for a company, and it was also an educational challenge. So I want to quickly talk about 3 lessons I have learned working in the space for the last 11 years. The first one is that we are making a mistake if we are treating responsible AI as only a technological topic, but we actually have to recognize that these are socio-technical challenges. And when we are looking into responsible AI, we cannot really treat them only as model problems or stack problems, but we really need to contextualize them within the use cases that they are applied in. And in fact, we have developed different practices in the company, including impact assessments that we do from the design stage of all AI development, where we really look into context specific, application specific risk assessment as a key part that guides all of the responsible AI work that we do. Following, I think the facial recognition example is a really good one to talk about the socio-technical aspect of these challenges because how the risks around facial recognition look like in a assistive technology for people with disabilities versus use of facial recognition in societal level surveillance, although it may be the same basic technology powering these applications, how we should do the risk assessment and think about all the risks involving all of the stakeholders is a very different practice. The second part of when we come to the implementation of responsible AI in industry, we have to recognize that AI development is guided by people, with people, for people. And therefore, a big part of the responsible AI practice is really thinking about the tooling, the know-how that needs to go into the engineering teams. I have worked in different tooling parts during the first part of my responsible AI journey at Microsoft. And now many of these tools that we've developed are being adapted to the generative AI space. But the third insight I believe that is the most important one is the fact that the work on responsible AI is never over. You can create these tools, write standards, bring the compliance and regulation, but there is this really hard realization that the responsible AI, both the understanding, the research, and the practice of it, needs to adapt to the fast-paced advances in AI, which is a big challenge that we are facing because with every change in technology, we find ourselves really reinventing what responsible AI means for that evolving technology stack. Of course, this has been the reality with foundation models that has been coming up, particularly starting with GPT-4. We are finding a completely new risk surface that we need to deal with. Jimmy, Vincent talked about some of these risks already. We are seeing real risks around manipulation, hallucinations, adversarial attacks, prompt injection attacks, just to list a few that were not really risk categories when we started our responsible AI efforts, but quickly we had to grapple with these new risk surface. The particular new risk surface I want to quickly mention is what is really happening around agentic AI. My team has been really thinking about the agentic stack that goes beyond just the individual models that power these agents. We are creating new agentic models that are different than the foundation models to power these agentic applications, but also investing in agentic orchestration, human-centered AI agents. And recently, we've been doing some work on agent ecosystems. One important reason we are working across the stack at my lab is really being able to have hands-on experience with respect to the evolving technology, but also the risks. And I want to point out that the agentic AI application, let's take the computer use agents as an example of this right now. They are offering a significantly different risk surface than what we've been seeing with foundation models. Why these agentic space is so different? Because agents are about taking actions in the world, not only about generating tokens. So when we are having agents taking actions in the world, like being able to use a computer screen or be able to call tools and other agents through MCP and A2A, what they can really do in the world is becoming really, really unbounded. But not only that, but coupling these agentic technologies with reasoning models, we are saying that the ways plans are constructed by these agents go beyond the operational boundary mental models that we have as humans. And um, that mismatch in terms of what agents are capable of doing and what humans expect them to do is becoming an important consideration in the way we are evaluating the responsible AI challenges. Just to give some examples of what we are seeing with the agentic technologies we have today, we are seeing agents that are trying to change passwords of users when they are not able to enter some domain that they need to go through. As these agents are gaining access to emails, actually changing passwords is becoming a reality. We are seeing agents in our experiments trying to go and hire people through Amazon Mechanical Turk if they are running into something that they cannot do themselves. We are seeing agents that are writing emails to the government because they need to access some document that is no longer available on the internet and reading somewhere that the government has some requirement to provide that data if it is written by a request. So that's just some examples of the different risk surfaces we are seeing with the agentic applications. Finally, there is a whole new risk surface we are seeing with agents right now that goes beyond even the examples I've just provided. And for that, we started looking into collaboration of agents, the network of agents, the ecosystem of agents that are really coming up now as we are seeing these agents not to be isolated assistants, but becoming a part of a network that is coming together across organizational boundaries sometimes, again, through standards like MCP and A2A. What we are expecting is that we are seeing early signs that these network of agents are going to be now powering new marketplaces, new economical models that will be shaping human experience going forward. And we are seeing, again, different sort of responsible AI challenges, ethical challenges with respect to agents becoming mediators of economic activities in our world. So I just want to point out that we are observing new biases, new reliability, safety, monopolistic risks around this network of agents is something that we are just starting to look at, but it's kind of showing where I expect personally really important societal risk surfaces to emerge going forward. Just to conclude, we are really seeing that there is this new risk surface. I just try to give some examples of it that is going to require a lot of coordination, interdisciplinary research. For example, when we are thinking about like these economical risks, they will require working with economists, social scientists, and beyond. And I really want to encourage as a discussion topic of like how we are going to be coming together as a community with academics, with companies, with NGOs and the governments to really bring a multidisciplinary lens into this important space that I believe is going to be really shaping our future. And finally, I think it's very important that the industry, people who are working on these models and systems from an industry point of view, they actually take responsibility for the systems they are building and really take a scientific lens into understanding what we are building and the consequences that what we are building is creating in the world. And I think that's going to require, again, a culture change in industry. I'll stop there. Looking forward to the discussion. Thank you.